Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is Charlie Mitchell.
Hello.
So, Charlie, you're reasonably young. How old are you right now?
I'm 19.
19.
Yeah.
What was the thing that got you into music in the first place?
Well, as far back as I can remember, I've always enjoyed singing. You know, when I was a little kid, my parents, everyone used to call me Hummer because I was always humming a tune or humming something random because I didn't think anyone could hear me.
Oh.
So I'd be humming something and then everyone would say, "Shut up, Charlie." I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm not even saying anything, but I'm humming." I originally started in the school choir.
Which school?
King's Christian College. I started in the school choir, and the music teacher there, he said to me one day, "You have quite a decent voice. You should, try and work on it." It's like, oh, okay. I kind of brushed it off a little bit. Then Mum and Dad heard me singing in the car one day. They were like, "Oh yeah, we could take him to get some singing lessons."
How old were you when around this stage?
I was probably 11.
Okay.
11. Anyway, we found a lady called Rosalind Owens in Mudro Bar. She has not anymore, but she did have a music studio there. Mm-hmm. And she was a singing coach, and I went there for quite a few years, maybe 5 years, something like that. And she was great. She taught me a whole lot of stuff. And she got me a few little performances here and there, and that eventually led to me getting, paid gigs and busking and all that stuff, and got me to what I'm doing now.
Okay, so here's a question for you that might be a bit interesting. You say you start singing lessons around 11. Mm-hmm. At what point did your voice break? And how was that? How did you deal with that?
That was tough because... So my voice probably started breaking around 13, 14. That was really hard because obviously I sing a lot of jazz songs, mm-hmm. and jazz songs, you're obviously singing quite low. Yeah, it was so difficult to sing songs that at one point I was like, oh, I don't want to do anymore. I just want to stop. Luckily, my dad kicked that out of me with dragging me out of the house at 7 o'clock in the morning to go busk down at Burleigh Beach,
okay,
and Surface and all those kind of places.
So when you're busking, are you playing guitar?
I can play enough guitar for it to sound impressive to those who can't play guitar.
But enough to get through a song.
Yeah, enough to get through a song.
That's all that's required.
Yeah. But it was always to tracks.
Okay.
But when I first started, my first time ever busking, it was with the guitar because it was with my old guitar teacher. His name was Steve. I can't remember his last name.
Oh, okay.
But I went to him for maybe 2 years, something like that. And he's the one that recommended I start busking at Carrara Markets. Ah. And that's where I did the first time busking. And
so was that your first real public performance?
I think my first public performance was actually at a place called Spaghetti and Jazz.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It was for a little competition they run there. I don't know if they still do it now, but I remember I sung a song called "A Million Dreams" from the movie The Greatest Showman. Mm-hmm. I think there was 3 rounds, and I managed to get through to the last one, and then I got booted. But that was my first ever live performance in front of anyone.
And how old were you when that happened?
11, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, at 19, you've got a few years under your belt out there performing.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think I know a little bit about performing, but if I'm honest, a lot of it I'm winging most of the time.
We met probably the first time when you came in here to sing with a big band, because you were recording an album. Was that the first recordings you've done, or you'd run recording before that?
The first recording I ever did was actually not too far from here. I can't remember the studio now. They've closed down. Big Note.
Yep.
That's it.
I'm out of my mind. 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your
It was through my singing teacher, because she'd get all her students to sing a song there and they'd record it, get it recorded professionally, like video and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I sung All of Me by John Legend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How did you find the recording experience for the first time?
I was nervous.
Oh, everybody is.
Yeah, I was really nervous. I was 12, and you know, you're obviously in this.
So was that the
small
first
room.
time that you heard yourself recorded?
Yeah.
Did it
Yeah.
freak you out?
Did.
I mean, I only ask that because I know what it's like. It's like you have a vision of how your voice sounds in your own head,
Mm-hmm.
and when you hear yourself back, it's like it doesn't sound the way. It doesn't sound to you the way that you think it does.
Well, that morning I actually woke up with a blocked nose, so obviously I sounded quite, what's the word, nasally.
Oh.
So listening back to it, it's like, I swear I don't sound like that. It actually made my voice sound a lot deeper than what it was at the time, which was great, because, you know, it actually sounded a bit better.
Was there any editing of the audio performance?
I'm pretty sure it was natural from what I could tell.
Okay.
Because it was just straight, because they had other students after me to record, so it was
the
just straight.
time was really,
Yeah.
it was
quite
very
quick.
brief and quick. And
Yeah, it was just record the song, next student, and then next few weeks we got a recording back, and I was like, oh, this sounds great.
Cool.
I didn't know I sounded like that. It's like, oh, cool.
The experience, I guess, had a positive result.
Yeah.
And there was positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
You felt good about the process.
Yeah.
How did you come by to work with Louis Shelton?
So, you know Dean Harawira.
Yes.
So I had done some work with Dean in the past, you know, a few performances with the band. He helped me put that band together that we recorded in here. I had written some of my own like jazz big band songs, and I was like, oh, I just need to find someone that knows what they're doing in this genre, because there's plenty of producers out there, but jazz is quite a complex genre. You kind of have to have a person that really knows what they're doing. Dean's done some work with Louis Shelton, and he's like, oh, you know, here's Louis, you know, he's a legend in the music industry. He'd be, you know, the perfect guy for you to take these songs to, and you know, obviously see what he thinks first. So okay, cool. So we went and met Louis at his place, and you know Louis, you've interviewed him and all that stuff.
I've worked with Louis.
He's a great storyteller, and you know, you could literally just sit with him for hours and just listen to all these stories he has about all the amazing, you know, people he's worked with.
Yeah.
And I remember we went in there into a studio, and he had all these plaques on the walls of like all these records he's worked on and all that stuff. It's like you feel like you're walking into like the Hall of Fame or something when
Pretty
you walk
much
in
is
there.
though.
So I let him listen to some of these songs, and he was you know, he was like, oh yeah, I could do something with these. Anyway, we worked with him and we got these songs out, which was quite a big process. Took maybe like a year and a half, maybe even more, but they came out good.
Yeah, no, I remember in the recording process when we were here, and you had the band, big band, Sweet Thunder.
Yeah.
So who organised that?
That was a lot of emailing, a lot of invoices.
So, I mean, like the other side of the coin. I mean, it was amazing, but that can't have been a cheap exercise.
No, well, I mean, I got to thank my dad for.
Well, I
a
remember
lot of it.
speaking to your dad, and he said that you're paying for it all.
Yeah, I was. I mean, there was, from what I remember, I think there was 17 musicians, and I had to pay all of them. You know, there was obviously videographer, musicians, producer, master, all that kind of stuff, and that was coming out.
I mean, it's very rare that somebody does recordings that way anymore because it is so expensive. So you're paying for that. Where's the money coming from? Is that coming from busking and gigging and?
Yeah, that's coming from just gigs, busking, working with my parents on the side.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that all went to all of that. But it was, I mean, you were there. It was quite a.
It's a big sound.
It was
and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's not very often that you get to stand in front of a band that big. Mm-hmm. It must have been an awesome thing to sing with.
Oh yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was so stressful because, obviously, you have to organize these 17 musicians to be there on time, ready to play these songs, because that was the first time they'd played those songs pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So on the recording, that is like pretty much like a first take of those songs.
Yeah. But they were great musos.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
reading charts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all great readers.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, if they weren't as talented as what they are, it definitely wouldn't have came out the way it did.
Yeah. So busking.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like? How do you get into busking and what is that experience like? I mean, I've never busked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that it was ever on my radar to go and do, but a lot of people go out there and do it. Kevy Keeper, who was on, he started out busking, and you've done quite a bit of it. Mm-hmm. What's that like as an experience? Is it rewarding? Do you find it really good? Is there negatives?
There's basically a lot of pros and cons, because you're obviously out on the street, you're out on the sidewalk, and it can be a bit difficult because you're out there, you're performing your heart out into the microphone, and there's people walking past not really paying attention, so it's like, damn, I wish someone would just stop and just listen. But then you get like that occasion where you have a crowd coming around you and they're clapping after every song.
Do you think a crowd attracts a crowd?
I think so. Yeah.
So if you've got like, half dozen people, and that there's more chance that more people will stop?
Yeah, well,
they're all like going, what are these people looking at?
I mean, I was thinking I could pay my mates to come down one day and just stand in front, and then everyone else would just come up behind them.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I have a crowd. But it's definitely a rewarding thing to do, because you can see there's people that are enjoying stuff what you're doing, and occasionally you might have people dancing to the songs you're singing, all that stuff, and it's definitely a rewarding thing, but it definitely comes with cons as well.
Well, we were talking earlier on, and I was saying I always ask a question about people's highlights and something that's happened maybe, and you were saying that there was a time when you were busking when someone stole the money.
Yeah.
And you had to chase them down the street.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, so this guy, I think he was homeless, bless him. He came up, and it was in the middle of me singing, and he was asking, can I have some money? Can I have some money? And my dad sat next to me, and he was, I'm like, what, 14, 15 at this stage. So It's like, here's this guy asking for some money, and I'm like looking at Dad, and Dad comes along, and he's like, what's happening? And he's like, I just want some change, just like coins for cash, for notes. And Dad's like, well, show me what you got. And he brings out like a few silver coins, couple cents, and then he says, I just want some $10 note. Dad's like, well, no, that's not gonna happen. You don't, that doesn't add up. And Dad's like, just
be on your
move
way.
along, yeah.
Yep.
And he's like, what, you gonna make me? Then he like squares up, like he's about to fight Dad, and Dad's like, just move along. Then all of a sudden he like reaches down into my guitar case and steals maybe $15, $20 maybe, and then he starts running off. And like, I'm looking at Dad, and Dad yells, "Get him, Charlie!" Here's this like 14-year-old kid in a suit and like these boots and all that stuff, chasing after this guy with money in his hand. And then there's my dad behind me in his flip-flops with a bad knee, trying to chase after him as well. And anyway, I end up getting to the guy, and I'm not a very like confrontational person, so this was way out of pocket for me. I managed to grab a hold of him and push him into a parked car, and he hit it, and then he fell to the ground. And then, I was about to like jump onto him and like get this money off, like give back my money. And Dad yells out, "Charlie, stop, just let him go." It's like, oh, okay. So he ran off. And then when I got back to my gear, everyone felt bad for me, so I kept on getting all these tips.
Oh, wow.
Like $100 tips, $50 tips.
So
and
it
all that
turned
stuff.
into somewhat awkward,
Yeah, I mean,
positive experience.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about maybe hire someone to come and rob me every time I'm busking. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was, but yeah, it was definitely a day. And Dad, he, because after that, obviously, I was quite nervous to go out and busk again because it's quite a scary thing to happen. And the next day, Dad's woken me up early in the morning. He says, "Come on, we're going out again to the exact same place." So we've ended up back at that same place where that guy was. And obviously, I'm like scared.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want it to happen again. So I was really timid for like the next few times I was doing it because I didn't want that guy to come back.
Yeah.
Or someone else, you know. But that was definitely an experience.
I think from your dad's point of view, it's probably that thing of like, get back on the horse and not let that deter you, and try and build up some positive experience so that it doesn't become a thing that becomes this traumatic event that prevents you from going back to it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that wasn't the only incident, because like at that same place, not too long after that, there was this old man, probably like in his 60s or something. He came along and he starts yelling and swearing at me. He's like, blah, 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 turn it bloody down, effing this, effing that.
Oh, no.
Like, and I'm still like 14, like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I've turned it down, obviously listening to him. And I'm like ready to go home after that. And Dad comes along, you know, my knight in shining armor, and he's like, what was that about? And it's like, oh, that guy was just having a go at me. And anyway, Dad's gone and chased after this guy, and he gets to him at a crosswalk, and there's all these people around, and Dad comes along with his phone in hand, and he's like, "How do you feel that you've just abused a 14-year-old child?" And like thinking that he's recording him, and he's saying, "Everyone's gonna know about you on the Gold Coast. Oh, you're gonna get in so much trouble, blah 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 blah." Then he comes back and he says, "Don't worry, Charlie, I got him on record." And then he goes to show me the video, and he's just taking a photo of the guy's face.
You know, it's great that you had someone there that was looking after your best interest, at least too, which is good. So busking's given you, I would imagine, a reasonable amount of self-confidence.
A little bit.
Well, I mean, if you think about those experiences, you've experienced positive reinforcement, but you've also experienced the negative side. And as with all things in life, it's, you know, you can't please everybody. And that's busking's a great way of learning that. Some people are going to like what you do and some people just aren't.
Yeah. You always have someone at a gig, in my experience, there's always someone that has just like, not exactly an insult, but like they always want to critique you about something. And it's like, you know, that's great and all. And I'll take any feedback I can get, you know, and feedback is always wanted. But sometimes they might like dig a little too deep. Like I had one lady say, "I don't know what you're doing with your hair, but you need to change it." I get if you don't like it, but like, come on, you didn't have to say anything. Yeah. You know.
Well, yeah, like you say, yeah, it's that thing. People will have opinions about everything. Some people are kind and some people can be quite unkind.
Yeah.
What's something that's happened along the journey so far that you would say is an absolute highlight of everything you've done so far?
Absolute highlight. I did my own show at Twin Towns.
Yep.
With a 17-piece band, and that
in
was
the showroom.
And
that's a great stage. That one too.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, and that was a ticketed event. And I think we sold. I think the room held like 700. 800 people, something like that. I'm not too sure. But we sold about 500 tickets. And there's a funny story with this. So about 15 minutes before the show was supposed to start, I had asked my mum, because she was coming from home, could you just get me like a bottle of just like warm water? Because obviously warm water is good for the throat. Yeah. Anyway, she gets there and she's giving me this. It's like a flask or something. It's like, oh, okay. And I took the lid off, and like it's like a weird. Luckily, I'm a bit of an idiot, and I didn't know how where am I supposed to put my lips on this thing? So anyway, I go to attempt to take a sip, and I've missed my lip, and it's fallen on my chin. But it wasn't warm water; it was boiling hot water from the kettle.
Oh no!
So 15 minutes before I'm supposed to be on stage,
You've
I have
burnt
this big burn on my chin.
No.
And like luckily it didn't go in my mouth, because if that had went in my mouth,
It would have burnt.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to sing.
Mm.
But yeah, and then like a week later, I've got this great big massive burn mark on my chin. But yeah, other than that happening,
But you got through the show okay. It all went really well.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best things I've ever had the chance to do.
How would you describe the style of music that you do, or that you have been doing? Because I know would you call it big band swing, big band jazz?
Yeah, it probably falls more into big band jazz.
Similar to
Frank Sinatra, that kind
Michael
of stuff.
Bublé,
yeah,
that vibe.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd say I'm in the jazz genre.
Is that the sort of stuff that you grew up listening to? What sort of stuff? What sort of stuff is your favourite stuff to listen to?
The things that I listen to are very different to the things that I sing, which was what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And what I listen to, I listen to a lot of Jeff Buckley.
Oh yeah.
Radiohead, The Smiths, Bruno Mars.
Oh okay.
Who I'd like to say I think is one of the best vocalists of this generation. I like to put that out there. But
so you're a fan?
Yeah. But yeah, that's completely different to what I sing.
How do you come to stylistically do that jazz big band thing? Where does that come from? How did you get into that genre?
It was one day at singing lessons with Roz. She recommended I sing the song "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra, and I sung it. And we noticed that I had quite a deep, tone for it. And that eventually led to me, looking up who's Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
And that led to Dean Martin, Nat King Cole, Bobby Darin, all those guys. And I was like, oh man, this is actually a really cool genre.
Yeah. Your voice naturally lends itself to that style of singing.
Yeah. I mean, my voice definitely fits that genre well, I think. Yeah, that eventually led to it being a big part of, who I am. If anyone ever asks me anything about music and all that stuff, I'll always bring up, do you know who Frank Sinatra is? Do you know who Dean Martin is? Do you know who any of these guys are? And they'll always be like, oh, not really, no. It's like, how do you not know who these guys are? They're like actual legends,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll always take the opportunity to talk about them.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
So that's cool. So, listening to Jeff Buckley and Bruno Mars and stuff, because we know we spoke about you've been writing some new material, and I'll put, for everyone listening, I'll put links down below for all the stuff we recorded in here, because that's out now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you've got new stuff that you're writing, and you were saying it's you're changing direction a bit.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
What sort of direction are we talking?
Yeah. So I've obviously been in the jazz genre pretty much since I started the music. And, I figured while I'm young, while I still have the time, I can mess around with different genres, So this genre, I kind of, what would I say it is? It's kind of like contemporary pop, kind of like James. You know James Arthur?
No.
James Arthur. He's a famous singer, but I'd say it's quite similar to his kind of music.
Okay.
I read a lot of Jeff Buckley's lyrics, not just listen to the songs. I read the lyrics, and I'll never be able to write anything like him because, he's one of the best songwriters that ever lived. But a lot of the things I write, I try to think like, how would Jeff Buckley think when he's writing a song? And that's helped me a lot. So I'd say like Jeff Buckley and James Arthur are big influences in these new songs that I've been working on.
Okay, so we're talking about you're going to do a bit of a demo of a couple of things.
Yeah,
let's do that.
Okay. we don't talk much anymore. It's been a few years and my heart's still sore. You moved to New York City like you said you would. You're gonna be an author and write about the good. You used to write about me and the love we had. God, it's so silly how I wish it didn't turn bad. So write about our love. Write about when we'd fight then make up. Won't you write about our love? Write about our love.
Awesome. It fits your voice really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's one. Do you want to? Is there any other stuff that you got that's going to happen?
I got there's this one. This one's the newest one I've written. Two souls intertwined by a thread. If one of them dies, then they're both dead. Living without the other is a waste of time. This other half of me is gone, and I don't know why. The other half of my soul. The other half has let go. Now time moves slow.
That's great. It's really cool. Tell me, lyrical context. So what are you thinking about when you're writing those lyrics? Are you drawing from a personal experience, or are you just thinking of a storyline, or something completely random, or is it coming from a movie, or is it from a book, or where's it coming from?
It's funny you say that, because one of them is inspired by this movie I watched called Past Lives, and it's about these two people. They were best friends when they were kids, and one of them moves to America. I think they're originally from Korea.
Okay.
One of them moves to America, and they basically lose contact. And the one that moved to America, she becomes an author.
Mm-hmm.
And they eventually get back into contact, and then she's like, oh, I want to move on with my life, so no more contact, and blah, blah, blah. And the story goes on, and they see each other again, and it's like this big, self-discovery kind of thing and all that stuff. And it's somehow inspired that song, because thinking from the guy's perspective of the story, because it's a guy and a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the guy's perspective. He really wants to be with this girl, but she's moved to New York City. She's become an author. She has a husband now.
Oh wow.
And he's he's yearning for this girl.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of struck me as quite a beautiful story. So I went into the music room and I was like, blah, 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 write about our love and all that stuff.
I guess you wouldn't necessarily very often get a chance to do a show with the big band.
Mm.
Is Twin Towns the only time you've had a chance to do that live with the big band?
I've
Or
had-
has there been other, obviously has there been other gigs where you've had a chance to do that?
Yeah, there's. I think the first time I performed with a big band was at, I think it was Gold Coast National Jazz Day or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a couple of years ago, and oh man, that was crazy. Performing with a big band is such a different feeling to performing with like a four-piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because obviously performing with a four-piece is great, but when you have like 17 players behind you and they're all got the horns,
It's a big sound.
yeah, it's a big sound.
So it's much more of an adrenaline rush?
Yeah, and like you feel like you've got all those players behind you, so you feel like you really got to put on a show. You know, you really got to grab the audience.
So you feel like that your personality has to be bigger.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're just like stood at the microphone on the stand, and you're like, you know, just singing, you know, you might sound good, but you got to put on a show. You know.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of my performances with the big band, you'll see me like really like, you know, I might be whipping my hair around or something like that, which is funny because it's jazz.
Yeah.
You know, and typically in jazz, you're not like...
So it inspires you to be more animated.
Yeah. I basically become like... I treat jazz like anyone would treat rock. You know?
Oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like I'm like jumping around the stage, like whipping my hair about,
Yeah.
you know.
Would you consider yourself to be extroverted or introverted? Is it the sort of thing where when you go out in a large group of people, do you get energy from the crowd, or do you find that it depletes your energy?
It's funny because when I'm on stage and when there's a big crowd, it's like a different version of me comes out a little bit. You know, I crack a lot of jokes. You know, I try to be as charismatic as I can.
Is that something you think about though, or is it something that comes out naturally?
Yeah, it comes out naturally.
Cool.
Which is really weird. But then if I come off stage and you're like talking to me one-on-one, I might not be able to even look at you.
So you're
like,
sort of
I'm
shy
nervous.
in that.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I've been to like big events where there's like lots of people and they're all like, you know, really social, and then I'll just completely shut down.
So it's probably a little bit more introverted.
Yeah, probably. Which is weird to think, you know, because obviously I'm in the music industry, you know, and you have to be
Yeah,
quite
I mean, there's
an
a lot of
extrovert.
people that are great performers that
But
are
they're introverts.
introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is,
not a. It's that. It's there's a very big difference between standing on stage in front of a large audience than being in the
Yeah.
audience.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of people who find it hard to be surrounded by people or walk into a room that's full of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to deal with people one-on-one rather than as a large group,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. It's definitely weird because you'd think that you'd be quite an extroverted person, considering, you know, like if you're in the music
Someone looking at
industry.
you on stage would go, oh, no,
Yeah, he's like,
when he
oh,
comes out of
yeah.
his shell, he's an extrovert.
Yeah, and then when he comes off stage, he's like, he can't even look you in the eye. It's like, but yeah, it's a weird thing, and I've slowly gotten better at like one-on-one conversations with people and like big crowds and all that stuff. But it's taken a lot of, you know, really trying to push myself out there. You know, a lot of boots up the butt from dad.
Do you think that the whole performance side of thing is a real good confidence builder in and of itself?
Definitely. Before I started, now I don't know if this is relevant to it, but before I started the music, I used to have like really bad posture.
Oh, okay.
So I used to walk around with my head down like this, and I'd be talking to you like this. And then once after doing the music for a while, you know, I've fixed up my posture a little bit, my head's up, you know, I can kind of have a conversation with you without like, you know, pissing my pants, you know. But yeah.
So the nerves was a really big thing?
Yeah, and it still is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it ever goes away really. Obviously it gets better over time, you know. It's just like, you know, you rock up to a gig, it's like, oh, it's just another gig. But like, you know, if you got a show or if it's like a something like this.
Yeah.
The nerves never go away. You might get better at it, but they never go away.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though.
no,
There's a very fine line between being nervous and excited, and that is a very fine line.
yeah,
I think that the day that you're not nervous or excited, you're probably just bored with it.
yeah, yeah. So you always want to be nervous. Yeah,
Yeah, it means you care.
yeah.
You're 19 now. What's the long-term plan? Obviously, music is something you love doing. Is it something that you see yourself doing as a long-term career?
I'd like to. Yeah, obviously, it's a tough.
It's a tough industry.
Business. Yeah, it's not easy.
I don't think there's actually anything out there these days that is easy, though.
Yeah, no, not these days. But yeah, I'd really like to do the music for as long as I physically am capable of doing it. You know?
I mean, it's amazing to me, like putting together an album of big band jazz stuff. Man, that's an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. That's really a great accomplishment. Not many people would do that.
Yeah,
and it's putting your money where your mouth is too. It's like you worked hard for that money.
Yeah.
To spend it on doing that. It's putting it back into something you believe in, which is great.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we're talking about doing a change of direction with the music. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have done this in the past and been quite successful. John Mayer's been very successful at it. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, with this new material, you'll work towards... Are you going to do singles or an album? Do you have a plan of exactly what you want to do? Is there a plan or in your mind, is it something where you would like to travel overseas with the music?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd love to, because I have quite a few original songs written now that I haven't recorded that are in this new genre. I'd like to, if I can, work on an album, or at least an EP.
Yeah.
But in terms of going overseas for it, last year I managed to get over to England to perform. I performed at two places. I performed at a jazz bar and then like a great big jazz restaurant.
Okay.
And that was with a 3-piece band. And that was great. That was really cool.
Went over really well?
Yeah, it went really well.
Oh, cool.
Those guys that run those venues have said, if
come back and do it again.
Yeah, if you got anything else, come back and we'd love to have you back. So I know that I have the opportunity to go, over to England and do that with like new material or that kind of thing.
How did those contacts come about that happened?
It was, so we were going over to England just for like a visit.
Yep.
And I was going to be there for, I think I was there for like 2 months or something like that. I might be wrong though. Dad was like, well, you're going over there for that long. You can do some work while you're there. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair. And Dad, the businessman that he is, found these venues online and was just like contacted them, sent them an email. We got on a Zoom call with them, and we told them all about, obviously what I do and who I am. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll set a date for while you're here. Come on in and we'll put on a mini show. It's like, oh great, I got some gigs in England now.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool experience.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, Dad's brought you in here today, and to some degree, Dad's looking after the management of side of things.
Yeah.
Pretty much for the most part. Have you sat down with each other and had a conversation about a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, or is it just at the moment is it a case of let's just see where things lead to?
Well, we should have a plan, but as of right now, we're coming up with like a package.
So you're 19. You've graduated from high school, university in the.
Just doing the music at the moment.
Just doing music?
Yeah, but I did get my certificate 3 in disability support work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how many gigs a week are you doing?
On average, about 2 or 3.
That's
2 or
not
3 weeks.
That's not too bad.
And working with mum and dad as well, just for, fill in the blank spaces. But it keeps me busy.
Yeah, I can imagine it would. Is there anything that you do from a personal point of view that helps with singing, like an exercise regime, or what do you do for your health? Because obviously looking after your voice is pretty important if you're going to be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big thing to do from your point of view?
Oh, what's the big thing to do? Lots of water.
Lots of water.
Lots of water.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated, yeah. In terms of like keeping the voice, in a good condition, lots of vocal warm-ups. Like when I'm driving to a gig, I'll put on like vocal warm-ups on Spotify and I'll sing along to that, and obviously warms up your voice.
Are you seeing anyone at the moment as a vocal coach?
Not at the moment, no.
Is that something that you would like to do more of, or is it?
It's obviously I went to Rosalind Owens for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And she taught me like so much. And then that was when I met Louis, and then I had to pay Louis for his time and all that stuff. So it's like, okay, do I continue with the vocal lessons?
Yeah, you're forking out money.
Yeah, it's like
at some point you've got to be financially responsible. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I've learned so much from Roz. Keep in contact with her, but I'll have to cut this for now, and all this finances are gonna have to go to all this.
Because recording is that's a great learning experience. So if you're looking at from a learning experience, what do you think that you've learnt from going through that experience of working with Louis and recording a big band album?
Honesty, which is really strange because when we first started these songs, we actually finished them maybe like a couple of months before we came in here to record them. They were finished, but they were all recorded like on the computer. So it wasn't a live band behind it. And anyway, we were probably like a year into these songs, and they had been finished, and then I changed my mind and I was like, actually, I want to record the whole thing with a live band. So
basically, what you're saying is, so you'd spent a year
or the whole year
and then
working on this, and then I was like, actually, let's get a live band to do it. Yeah. So honesty.
I mean, I guess that's one of those things. There's a learning curve in that too, I guess, because that would have cost you a lot more than if you had started out with the live band in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you think that though, because you've already spent that time, the end result is better anyway?
Yeah. Well, I think it definitely made it more rewarding because so much time had been put into these songs. When the final result came out of it, it was like, finally, this is it. I've got it,
So when you recorded that album, there was some covers and some originals.
Yeah, we had Sway, Michael Bublé's version of Sway. There was a song called Time After Time, which was originally sung by Frank Sinatra in an old movie. I can't remember what movie it was.
Oh, okay.
But he sung it in this old movie, and it was like slow, like it was like a ballad. It was like, time after time, I tell myself that I'm... And then Louis was like, how about we like speed that up? And then it became time after time, I tell myself that I'm so lucky to be loving you. And it became like this big band jazz song, which was originally just like, a bit of strings and a bit of piano and Frank Sinatra.
So basically reimagining the song.
Yeah.
Making it your version.
Yeah. And then there was I'll Be There by the Jackson 5, which Louis had, he originally played on the original track. He's playing the guitar on there. Yeah. And I think it was like the first day we met him, and he was like, I'd love for you to maybe let's reimagine this song because I want to do it my way, Louis' way. And
that's really cool. So So Louis, who played on the original version
Mm-hmm.
of the song by Michael Jackson, and then he gets to produce and play on a version that you've done.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and it's cool because I've got the like original vinyl of that song on there. It's like the Jackson 5's greatest hits, and all the songs on there Louis played on.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, like I'm literally like, when I'm in there, it's like I'm sat next to a legend.
Yeah.
You know, it's a crazy feeling.
What's something that he did that you wouldn't have thought of? Did he ask you to sing anything differently?
He definitely critiqued, you know, made sure that I was like directly on key, which is good. But like, say for example, we were recording I'll Be There, and I'm terrible with harmonies. I'm so bad with harmonies. And I had to sing some of the backing vocals, and I think I was in that little booth for like maybe like 2 hours just trying to like record the harmonies, and like I'd screw it up and he'd go, just one more time, sing it, just one more time, sing it, just one more time, over and over and over, and trying to get these harmonies. And yeah, he definitely helped with a lot of the melodies. Like one of the songs, Bright Lights, that's an original. The chorus was completely different when we first took it to him. We took it to him, it's like, hey, this is what we got, what do you think? Went away, came back, and then he's come up with like this, kind of sounds like a Lionel Richie song.
Okay.
You know, sounds very similar to a Lionel Richie song. It's like, oh, this is great. You know, he's kind of changed the feel of it, but like in a good way, you know. And it was, yeah, he's bloody great at what he does.
Yeah. So your dad tells me you work with Narada Michael Walden.
Yeah.
Who's a Grammy Award-winning producer.
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen, and how did that come about?
So that happened maybe. Well, it all started maybe like 4 years ago.
Okay.
When I got a message on Facebook from a fella called Brian Evans, who lives in the States.
Had he seen your stuff online?
Yeah, it was to a video of me singing a song called "When the Party's Over" by Billie Eilish. Mm-hmm. It was in a studio, just on like a microphone, you know, not like, you know, properly recorded or anything like that. In black and white, Dad had his phone on the gimbal and he was like going around like recording. Anyway, we got a message from this guy Brian Evans, and he's like, "Oh, this kid's, you know, good. You know, I want to put him in front of, you know, these people and, you know, that kind of stuff." Anyway, we got on Zoom call with him, and he says, "I know Narada Michael Walden, and for those who don't know who he is, he has worked with like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Marvin Gaye, Ringo Starr, you know, some of the biggest names in music." And he's like, "I know him. And I can put you in front of him. We just got to come up with something to give him." Mm-hmm. So it took a while. It took a lot of back and forth trying to get this, trying to get it all planned, you know, trying to come up with a song that we can give to him and say, hey, we think this could be something good, you know, we could produce this. So we came up with a draft version of this song called Even After, which Brian had written the words and I had come up with the melody and kind of composed a little bit of it. And we went and recorded a draft version of it at a studio owned by Josh Beatty. Recorded a draft version there, sent that off to Narada, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is good, you know, we can do something with this." So he comes up with a track for it, and it's got like real strings in there, all like real instruments. It's a really beautiful song. We got on a Zoom call with him because he's all the way in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. We got on a Zoom call with him in his studio, and I was in the studio, and he's telling the engineer, you know, what he wants to do and all that stuff on there, and recorded the songs. He went away, did his thing, sent it back. It's this really pretty song, which Brian wrote about his. It's about loss because he lost his mother passed away in a terrible accident during surgery. It's quite a meaningful song for him and for me as well. And yeah, so the song came back. Brian did a lot of promoting for it, and it eventually ended up to me having the chance to perform it live on Channel 10.
Oh, wow.
Which was scary. I'm gonna say, right, I was so scared. When we got there, Dad was like wanting to get pictures of me with everything, and I'm like, Dad, leave me alone. I'm trying to focus on what I'm supposed to do. Got on the telly, and they asked me, because I was so nervous, like I was thinking about so much stuff, and I was supposed to talk about all this stuff when they asked me questions, and I was so nervous that I didn't actually say anything. So when they asked me a question, they said like, so how did you meet Narada Michael Walden? And I just said, oh, it just kind of happened, to be honest. When there was so much that went on for it to happen.
I remember I did a bit of TV stuff a long time ago, in the 80s. But I can remember going in to set up and sound check and being there at 6 o'clock in the morning to set up and stuff, to do a 9 o'clock sound check for a show that went on live at midday. So that's a lot, and it's a lot of time where you're sitting around waiting for things to happen. Was it that similar experience, or was it straight in?
Yeah, it was quite quick.
Quite quick?
I think they had already pretty much gotten everything ready.
So you were performing to a track?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did one sound check. We probably went through half the song, and then they stopped me. And then I thought I sounded really bad because they stopped the song. So I thought they were going to say, "Oh, mate, can you sing a bit better or something?" That's what I thought. That's what I thought they were.
And realistically, they're going, "Oh, we've heard enough. It sounds fine." And
yeah,
it was just they didn't need to do anymore.
Yeah, I thought I sounded really bad. I was like, "Oh no, they're going to tell me to leave, aren't they?"
How old were you when you were doing that?
Oh, maybe 16, I think. 16.
I mean, it's a great experience.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, the hosts on the show were really, really nice. All the crew were really nice. And I think they could tell that I was like
nervous.
I was nervous.
Right.
But yeah, I sung the song and got on telly.
Yeah.
Welcome to our studio today, mate. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You're absolutely awesome. What was your reaction to being handpicked by an amazing producer like Narada? How did it all come about?
Oh, well, it was absolutely insane. I didn't expect it at all. It just came out of nowhere. So, yeah, I kind of flipped out.
Yeah, well, no doubt.
I mean, obviously your dad's a big influence. How does your mum fit into the whole story of you singing?
Mum likes to say I get the talent from her. But unfortunately, I'd like to say this now, I don't. She likes to think she can sing, but I don't know. But
we'll have to get her on and let the audience be the judge of that.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get her to sing a song. But yeah, she does a lot of the styling. She likes to dress me.
Yeah.
She likes to do my hair. When I have like big shows, she'll be like, "Oh, let me just put a bit of makeup on your pimples." It's like, "No, Mum, get away." It's like, "It's gonna come up on the screen, darling. Don't let anyone see your pimples." It's like, oh dear. But yeah, she's more with the style look, and dad's the financial
And the motivator.
Yeah. Yep.
Motivate. Come on, Charlie, get out of bed.
Pull on the ear, slap across the face. Yeah, that's it.
Do you still do any busking at all?
I haven't done any busking for maybe 3 years.
I was going to say, so what is the biggest changes that you've seen from all of the things that you've done? What would you say would be the biggest changes that you've seen from when you first started doing gigs to now? Social
media is really tricky because there's obviously a lot of it is fake, you know. There's a lot of people doing the same thing on there. Like it's hard to promote your music on social media because everyone's doing the same thing, and it's original content is hard to come up with. You know, there's people that are doing content and it's not original. They would have seen someone else do it. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that, but they might switch it up a little bit, but it's still the same content. So you might be scrolling on your Instagram feed and there's a person, you know, lip syncing to one of their songs while walking down a beach. Then you scroll again. There's another person lip syncing to one of their songs, but they're walking in a shopping center or something like that. So it's difficult to really get your footing on social media because
Hard to break through the noise.
It's hard. It is
hard to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah,
What forms of social media do you use? Do you use TikTok?
I do have TikTok. We have posted some stuff on there. TikTok's really difficult.
I don't know much about TikTok, but I do know that a lot of new music gets
discovered on
TikTok.
there.
Gets discovered on there.
Yeah, but the thing is with TikTok, so much of it is stupid. A lot of it is like people posting stupid videos of them doing something.
Just trying to capture someone's attention.
Yeah, get a laugh out of someone or get the likes and all that stuff. You know, and I think that's what TikTok is mainly for. It's just for that, for people to get a laugh out of it. Because I mean, that's what I use it for. I use it for, you know, to get a laugh out of you know, whatever. But
And so obviously you would use Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Is there anything else? What other things are out there that people are looking at these days?
There's YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube is good. I'd say the hardest ones are definitely Instagram and TikTok because obviously, like I'm a young person, you know, but the genre that I'm in isn't, you know, jazz. It's I don't want to say it's a dying genre, but it's not a massive genre at the moment, is it?
No. It's. I find that the big thing that's happening right at the moment, or the thing that's becoming more popular, particularly here, is country music.
Yes, country music is getting popular.
It's that thing. Things go in cycles, and it's been a while since there's been a jazz resurgence. So maybe at some point that'll come back.
Well, there is quite a few people that are like slowly bringing jazz back. Like I don't know if you've heard of the musician. I think her name is Leve.
No, I haven't heard that one. I like Corey Wong.
Yeah,
His stuff. He's great.
Yeah, so Leve. She's like a modern day jazz singer, and some of her songs are like they're so beautiful. To be honest,
How do you find out about someone like that?
TikTok.
TikTok. Okay, so cool. Yeah. So people do cut through, and so that's cool.
Yeah, she had a song that went viral called "From the Start," and that got big on TikTok. And then I searched her up on Spotify. It's like, wow, like she's amazing.
So you are discovering new stuff via TikTok.
Yeah.
So it works.
Yeah, it does. It does work. Yeah.
So there you go. It does work.
It does work.
So don't give up on it yet.
I'll try not to.
Thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you, Scott.
It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today.
You too.
Thanks, Dad, for bringing Charlie along. I will put links down for all things Charlie Mitchell, so anyone can go and have a look down below. And if you're out on the Gold Coast anywhere or anywhere Charlie is, go along and see a show. It'll be great.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next podcast. There you go. All done. Yeah, you did great.
Thanks.
I didn't do so well, but you did great.